With Yara, we were forced for like 9 months. We only had the emotional space. Like we only had our words. We couldn't be distracted with sex or like activities or anything. Like we watched a movie together once virtually. But I'm just-
Welcome everyone to Queer Relationships, Queer Joy. I'm Keely Helmick, licensed professional counselor, certified sex therapist, and owner of Connected Therapy Collective. My pronouns are they, she, queer, gender nonconforming, non-binary, able-bodied white person, all the things.
I'm Melisa de Seguirant, licensed professional counselor, licensed marriage and family therapist, and a clinician with the collective as well.
And we're so happy to lots of queer joy already going on here, chatting with two of my new friend acquaintances that I met not too long ago. And I wanted to bring them in because they just have the cutest, loveliest story. And I was like, I want to hear them talk some more. So we can get started just chatting if you want to introduce yourselves to our audience.
Wow, I get so nervous. Like you're so good at introducing yourselves. I'm like, what am I? But I'm Shannon Jakes. I work at OHSU, and I'm also pursuing my doctorate at the same time, exploring organizational change, specifically the like human, like the emotional side, not just the logistical side. And I'm queer and white and able-bodied as well. All of those things.
Great. That was a great introduction.
Thanks.
Okay, my turn. I'm Yara. I'm an e-learning specialist. I'm a business owner too. I have my own business developing e-learning courses. And what is different about my courses is they're really inclusive. Most of these trainings don't have like proper representation of the different parts of society. So my e-learning courses are very diverse. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm Puerto Rican. I think that's it's like Hispanic, brown skin color, and all the other minorities in there. I think that's how I perceive myself.
Awesome. So we were just telling Melisa the story of how the three of us met at an ORPIB Oregon Pride in Business event. And I just couldn't get enough of your awesome love story, but also the two of you as individuals as humans were just like this energy and like cuteness. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I stated how like really the combination of wanting to have queer relationship representation as well as and starting to have like an anthology really of like historically having these records of queer relationships because we don't have a lot of that. We have so many representations of like cis hetero couples and romances and 40-year marriages and blah 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 blah. But like
I love that.
like what's going on in our world? What's going on in our community?
We've been focusing too on what's working, and I'll be the first to admit, like, I feel like I'm the queen of what's not working, and that's how I learn. And that's been, I think, my favorite part of this podcast so far is getting to hear from other folks about their beautiful relationships. And I will totally name that it's very inspirational for me on a personal level. So
Oh,
excited to hear more of both of you.
Are you ready to inspire them, Yana?
You're such a great storyteller. You're such a great storyteller. So
No, you are. Okay, do we want to start with like my side, then your side?
yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
Okay. So how the birthing of our relationship, shall we call it? So over a year ago, which is like, in 2020, I joined Tinder platform and I set my parameters to 10 miles away and did all the things like, what do I want? Blah, blah, blah. Uploaded cutest pictures of me I could find. And then after, I don't know, like a month or so of being on there, one night I received a super like, which for those of you who don't know, like Tinder is like swipe one direction for yes, one direction for no. And then super like means that Yara super liked me. So before I even swiped yes on her, I saw that she wanted me.
Oh, that's wow. But I agree. Wow. But I agree. I still super like you every day. I'm like,
Yeah, she's super. So, because otherwise on Tinder, you don't see who likes you unless you match or pay extra.
Yeah.
So that happened. It was like Yaritza Cruz, or your name was like the end or something.
yeah, it's really hard to say that it's so.
Yeah. Super liked you. And so I was like, and then I was like 5,000 miles away in San Juan, Puerto Rico. But she was, hooked me. Had the charm, had the looks, had the background. Just like she's already has her PhD and she's a business owner, and our interests are kind of different sides of the same coin. Like she sets the structure for a lot of stuff, and I go in there and like, let's talk about emotion, baby. Let's so, okay, now Yada, you.
It's so funny. That's the point. She's so entertaining. She's just such a great storyteller.
Just wait till Yara goes.
The thing is that one of my friends contacted me and told me, you know what, there's going to be an experiment in this app that is called Tinder, and it's going to be called Swipe Night. And it's like a movie, and you're going to make decisions, and based on your decisions, there are going to be groups out there. Is going to be like a 1 month experiment. Let's do it so we can research about it in terms of how to apply that for e-learning courses, because that's something that we want to develop in the future. It's really hard to develop, but we're moving forward in that direction. So it was like, get the employees to make decisions, and then the scenarios will change in terms based on their decisions. So she was like, let's get there and explore it. Okay. And I was like, perfect, no problem. And I just set my profile and everything. I was like, no boundaries, like Shannon. I was like, okay, we're going to be here every Saturday exploring this to see how it works, and and make sure that we can have a better view of that. I think that Swipe Night I actually was four Saturdays, and there nothing else happened there with that project. And Shannon was part of my team. Then
Unknowingly, and I had no participation.
and it was like, this is the people that just have your same decision set. So this is your group. And the movie was about surviving. It was just like an asteroid is going to hit the earth, and you need to make this amount of decisions to be safe. And it was like, if you were in that situation, this group of people will be your team. And there was Shannon. And I was like, oh yeah, I absolutely super like you every day anyways. And I super like her, but it wasn't about distance or anything. So then she was like, as she was saying, setting up her profile, and it was the cutest profile ever because it was doctoral student. That was the description. And I just get there and I say, hi, doctoral student. And, and she's really good at this. And she just got back like, hi, business owner. And I was like, oh, whoa. Dang. She's like, she's back. No, I feel that from that day on, we feel that we know each other. And I know that this sounds really cheesy, but that's the point. We share so many intellectual interests and so many other things in different levels and connection in different levels. That was just like talking to someone I'm really used to talk to. Yeah. Even we have a kind of a language situation going on. My first language is Spanish, or first language is English. It was so much fun. It was so much interesting stuff going on. I think that our first interaction, she shared a research with me this research paper, and I was like, oh my God, that's so romantic. Instead of flowers, she just like, hey, I got this research for you. And I was like, oh,
Okay.
God.
My heart set aflutter.
Oh my God. And she was like, I want to read your dissertation. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like that's the kind of thing that started growing up. Then we just start just like working on our foundation. And then was 5,000 miles in the middle of us. And it was like, oh.
That's what I'm really curious about. Is like, how did you go from there to where you are now?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Do you want me to take?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a back and forth thing going on. So
Yeah, it was funny. Like, it was another Tinder setup that I had that actually brought our like connection closer, because I was like,
of course there was.
oh, I'm like going to go meet up with this other person on Tinder, but like, what's going on? You know, I am going to tell them that I'm not looking to date because of we have, because at this point we've been communicating for a month.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Yada was like, oh, you do you, take care of your needs, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but don't you want me to like, and then it's like, so there was like this,
I was so angry that day.
but she was like, oh, I get it. Like, you got to take care of you. And I'm like, what? Don't you like want me? And I keep on using that verb. Don't you want me? She wants me.
Yeah.
I do.
Hey, your people talking about sex too, you know, whatever.
anything goes.
It's that kind of a podcast.
That's funny.
Not for my grandma to listen to.
Sorry, Grandma.
Okay. But and so like it just felt weird, right? Like that distance, us having this like really intense connection, but not ever having physically met in person felt really like natural for me, but like saying it out loud felt like it wasn't real because she wasn't like physically there, you know? And eventually, I was just like, Yara, do you want to just be exclusive and not date other people? And she's like, yeah, it would make me crazy for you if you were like single. So that was kind of our solidifying. And we really, in my experience, I realized that with previous relationships, they started in this intense place and that it's just a slow tapering, or it's like they go to this place of like, that bothers me, but we'll tolerate it. And then it's like, and it's just this relationship built around like midi tolerances and like annoyances and like, that doesn't feel good, but like, let's make it work. But with Yara, we were forced for like 9 months. We only had the emotional space. Like we only had our words. We couldn't be distracted with sex or like activities or anything. Like we watched a movie together once, virtually. But other than that, and we visited each other. She came to Portland once, and I went to Puerto Rico twice. The second time to pick her up and bring her.
Oh,
That was so romantic.
With picking her up is not the right word. Like helping with the journey of saying goodbye to her life.
oh,
I need to say that at that moment, I was like, oh, I'm 5,000 miles away. And even I'm more flexible because my business is online. I can do business like everywhere. It was my apartment was there, and my car, my dogs, everything was in Puerto Rico. So I was kind of, when she told me about that day that she was gonna have, I was like, okay, Yara, woman up. This is the 21st century, my God. And I was like, okay, no problem. But I was really sad. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, I don't know how to feel about that. And I need to say that through this year, I've been learning so much about vulnerability in my emotions. Shannon is just brilliant, out of this world. She's so smart, not only in the academic part and professional part, also in the emotional part. And I've been learning so much with her. At that time, I was this kind of human that would say, like, something bothers me, I will be quiet and I find another rational reason, logical reason about it, and then everything is going to be fine. And before having my relationship with Shannon, I need to say that I was really committed to my professional academic and then professional life, and my career and my business. And I was in this marriage with my business and my career. And I need to say that I was in this happy marriage. I wasn't thinking about like, oh, I'm so alone, I don't want this. I used just to meet occasional people and that's it, because I was really convinced and I was really sure that I was okay being married to my business and my career. At that moment, I was like, there's people that wants to be with other people and there's people that would want to be project creators and stuff, and that's okay. And I was in that mindset when Shannon when Shannon comes and everything started just to spin. But I need to say that that distance allowed me to talk more about myself, about my emotions. I have no choice. There was, as Shannon said, no distraction. And I wasn't unable, and it's really hard with her, I need to say that she's so smart, to kind of hide my emotions and just hide from the situation. And I think that's the point with that first step, that I was feeling so frustrated and I wasn't able to put that into words. Was Shannon the one who say like, okay, this is what's happening? And from that moment, everything just grows naturally. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna move to the US because I think that is a natural growth. It's not that Puerto Rico is not necessarily an option, but as many people know, Puerto Rico is having a hard time. After the hurricane and everything, it's never the same. That was maybe one of the reasons. And the second reason, I think that it's always a crisis happening. The reality in Puerto Rico is there's always a crisis happening. And when Shannon just invited me and it was like, let's think about that, I think that it was natural and it's been so healthy for me because it's been like the stop. Today is going to be this huge situation in the country. Today in Puerto Rico, there is this huge protest and all the metropolitan areas closed. And every month, every couple of weeks is that kind of situation. So moving to Portland, it's been healthy for me, not only because of my growing my relationship. It's been good for my mental health and even physically, and I'm eating and I'm sleeping. So it's been great.
The basics, you know, the basics.
Bonus. So yeah.
Oh, so you're already naming one of our questions. It's just like, what do you do? What's going well? What are you doing well? So communication, emotional communication, like it's going good. Even having been talking long distance for 9 months, and now we're together in the same city. What continued to go well, or what really stuck out for the two of you?
I think, of course, it's hard to be like exactly what's going well without shedding light into what is hard.
Do that too. I mean,
yeah. Okay, like go for it.
We're therapists.
yeah, right. Yeah, I think communication is our main focus all the time, obviously, because that's how we like get to know one another and know our needs and whatever. But the topic, I would say maybe not as much anymore, but one of our main points of tension is what language we're speaking in. I like so much want to be a part of her family and culture in that, just like, you know, when you're speaking in a different language, you're expressing a different cultural thought process, you know? And Yara is like, well, I'm in the US and I want my English to be as amazing as possible. And I'm like, it's already perfect. Your Spanish is already good enough. We're like, so
it's the fight that you have. Are you saying like this is
fighting over?
No, this is it's a topic, you know, it's a topic because she speaks Japanese, Portuguese, Spanish, and English. Okay.
No, yeah, no biggie.
So she,
I've studied them all. I don't want anybody to get too impressed about that.
okay, that's here starts the problem. But I've heard her, and all my friends in Puerto Rico is like, oh my god, she can speak Spanish, but well, and I'm like, yeah, I know she can speak Spanish like without being confused, and she really understand the context. Amor, that's true. She really understand the context and everything, and she speaks great Spanish. And that's the point of tension because I'm like, you're done. My English is a little bit crazy. And because you're so good at Spanish that you don't need to practice. And then we start with the tension. Then I'm like, I need to practice. And then we both are kind of like having, I know it's kind of ironic, but having this clash of like, talk to me more in English or talk to me more in Spanish. And it's more, yeah. And also, it's a part of me to get to know her better. As long as she wants to know my cultural part better, I want to know her better. Her expressions, her feelings in English is not the same as in Spanish. As for me, when I'm really passionate about it, she knows that I will switch to Spanish. Or if I'm angry, I only can fight in Spanish.
Okay, so you know the fight's coming. It's like it switches to Spanish. You're like, oh shit.
I switch.
It's on. Okay, and Puerto Rican Spanish. I don't know if either of you have any sort of like, well, there's like Mexican, which I think is probably the most commonly understood and taught in the US, which is still fast. And there's lots, but Puerto Rican Spanish is like, I didn't know that it was possible to get words out that they're like, they like drop the ends of words, and then because it's an island that's been twice colonized, like first by the Spanish, then by the US, and like they brought in lots of slaves from Africa, so their Spanish is really unique and has influence from Spain, the native people that were there that were colonized. Like it's just, I'm like, what? Even we just went to a Mexican taco stand and she ordered mushroom taco, and they were like, okay. Just like, so there's just, but yeah, and of course there's the issue, like the context, but then there's like the issue underneath of just wanting to feel heard, like me wanting to feel heard by her and her wanting to feel heard by me. And we try, and I think that that's one thing that we're forced to do, not sharing us the same native language. Like we're forced kind of to go into the emotional spot of like, I don't fully understand the context. Like
Yeah.
you're not understanding, which happens in every relationship, but it feels unique in that we have this context to push us more into the emotional realm in order to get things sorted between the two of us.
So it feels more emotional because of the differences of language.
Yeah, in terms of the US, there is so many questions, and we are not used to so many questions. If we are gonna be in a dinner together, I'm not gonna be asking you questions. I'm gonna wait till you start talking, and then I'm gonna start catching what you're saying and moving around that, sharing my own experience so I can say, so you can catch. And that's the thing. I talk about myself and you have information so you can catch and continue there. And I have information, and that's different. Sometimes I just keep walking around the topic, and Shannon is just like, what do you want or what do you need? And I keep talking about politics, the weather, the universe, stars, so it's so it's like we've been kind of learning a lot to respect each other's cultural backgrounds. And I think that it's being part of our what makes this relationship really special and unique, because Shannon is really knowledgeable about cultural stuff. She's been living like around the world, and it's been kind of interesting how we've been growing. But yeah, I think that language is maybe one of the main topics.
And yeah, culture
topics.
Well, it's funny, if you don't mind me sharing about
Go.
dinner. Well, because we've been out to dinner with like 3 times with my friends, and I've noticed this about Yara, like not asking after my friends. Like they're all like, and what about this with you? And like they've all been really inquisitive of her. And after the last time, I was like, okay, how can I ask this without sounding like a total bitch? Like, just like bad down. So we were driving back, and I was just like, I noticed that you don't like really ask my friends any questions. Like you just like they ask you and then you answer. And she's like, yeah, because it's super rude to ask strangers such personal questions. And I was like, what? Since then,
What do you mean we're gay? We asked the most personal questions ever on the first date.
what was your coming out story? My name is Shannon, by the way. But we've really, it's been like such a rich point of discussion. Like, because one of my friends is like, how many siblings do you have? And she's like, I have. Sorry, Yara, is this me sharing personal information?
No, it's public. That's public information.
Okay. Yeah, but she's like, even with some of my closest friends, I didn't know about their siblings until a while into our friendship. And she was like showing me examples of conversations in Puerto Rico. Like, I'm talking about where I work, and then you are like, I work at, like you jump in. And I was like, oh, that's why my experience in Puerto Rico with like her family and friends together one evening, I was like, literally everybody's talking at the same time.
That's the way. That's the way. Because I'm going to say something that is information for you. That I'm talking to you, but I want you to know something or ask something. And instead of asking, I will say something that you can catch. And I see if you feel comfortable, I'm talking about it. If you feel comfortable, you will continue with the conversation. If you feel uncomfortable, you just let it there. And it's okay. We don't tend to ask more. So I just drop and you will take it and continue with that. But that provokes that everybody's talking at the same time, because it's going to be like everybody's trying to catch their own chance to kind of answer that question that is not a question, that it's a story, that is a question inside a story.
Like, so
I go on and on and on.
Yeah. It's so nuanced, right? Like, I have this book that I gave Yara that's called Culture Map, and it talks about different cultures within organizations. And they say that like the US is a very low context. Like we're the furthest over, like low context for like, what do you want? This is what I want. Like, I want to go out to eat at Porque no. What do you know? Like we're just direct. And then on the other end, it's very high context culture. Like the furthest over here is Japan and Korea, I think, and China maybe. But there's just like, and I lived in Japan too. Like you can't say, like with learning the language, and you're like, I remember my sensei being like, when you're asking, where's the post office? The person you're speaking to also knows that you're wondering where the bank is, as well as the gym or whatever. And we're like, what? And just like, so there's just, it's the nuance of communication in Puerto Rico and Latin America and wherever. It's high. You have to read between the lines a lot more. And my upbringing, I'm like, I've been doing so much emotional work and whatever that I'm like, I need to be a good listener. I need to not talk about myself unless somebody asks me. Like, I'm not going to share stuff because if they don't ask me, then they don't care about me. So there's just this like, and yours like, do your friends think that I'm totally rude? And I'm like, do your friends think that I'm like totally dull? Like, she's like, did anybody ask you any questions about yourself when you were with my family? And I was like, no, actually. It's just like,
Yeah.
so it's this total, and I feel super uncomfortable with the idea of jumping into a conversation. You're like, so this is me. Like, I feel super uncomfortable with that.
They will say something, mi amor. So it's like US, US, and there's the moment where you're just like, oh, me, this is me.
We did do practice rounds.
US. Montana, you can jump in. Oh, I'm from Montana, there you go. That's the thing. We kind of call for the conversation. We call for those questions.
Call the people in.
Yeah.
I'm really curious if both of you, I would love to hear just briefly the experience of queer culture differentiation. We talked about language and communication and all that. Couple minutes, tell us if you want to.
I love that question. I feel like you're more primed for that than because I don't know much about.
Okay, for me, I've been queer since I have a memory. I think that since day one, I born queer. That's it. That's how it happened. And for me, it's been like growing. I need to say that my mom and my dad were really supportive since I was super young in terms of what I was going to dress, and like really, really supportive for so many different reasons. And I was out of the closet like, wow, in high school, maybe before that. And so I just had that experience really early in my life, and happens the 90s and the 2000s in the queer community. So they were just explosive. It was this right movement at that moment. It was just like this super tense situation. And I need to say that at that moment, it was so much. We were kind of a secret community. We were just like Batman and Robins. We were like together in this. And it was all these drag shows. I used to visit so many drag shows and became really close friend with the drags. And I remember that they loved my eyelashes, my eyebrows. Yeah, thank you. And we were just like putting makeup to each other, and it was really fun. For me, that period was really important and informative, and it was something that changed my life forever. I remember at the beginning, the gay prides in Puerto Rico were a whole situation. We're still a Catholic community, so, and conservative community. Those roots of 400 years of Spanish colonialism still there. So I remember all the tension and all that moment, and it was really life-changing for me. And being out and developing a career was something at that moment. It was like, whoa, it wasn't that thing of, I even remember when they added like sexual orientation as part of those things that they can't go against you. I remember that wasn't part of the employment applications. So it was kind of growing in that community. After the marriage and after gay rights move on, I feel that a little bit of that community vanish, of that kind of feeling of community, of a close community change. And it's more just like open, and it's not like a small community getting together to achieve something. I think that's my experience in Puerto Rico. So everything just slows down and changed a couple of years ago. And I need to say that now I feel that Portland and Puerto Rico, I feel maybe in Portland there is more visibility in terms of pronouns and those kind of things. Even in Puerto Rico, we were having the situation about the pronouns. Spanish is really binary, and it's really hard because for name things, simple things, everyday things, they're male and female words. So it's being kind of, and it's a large language. So we've been trying to figure out what to do there. But yeah, Shannon's experience is different. And I think that it's complementary. We're relearning. I'm relearning so much. So
You're relearning so much about like yourself, or about like how you interact in relationship?
I'm relearning so much because Shannon's experience, she just like moved as a queer person, as an adult, and I did that as a child, as a teenager. So it's this two different experiences, and things that are really obvious for me is not the same experience. So I'm learning to slow down and to understand different contexts. and learning so much about her experience and how not everybody have that same experience of living the 90s and the 2000s gay rights movement explosion, that it was so aggressive, and how the perception is different from there. So I'm learning so much from her too.
You both seem to be learning so much in so many different contexts, like considering inspired that you've done it.
Thank you.
It's amazing. One thing that we always end with, that I'm really curious to pose this, we end with queer joy to celebrate just something that's bringing us joy in this week, past month for you. Keely and I have kind of risen to the occasion. Now that we're doing more recordings and like 2 joys a week, I don't know if I can muster it. I'm curious. I'm happy to start too, but mine, I'll go. Mine.
Okay, I'm glad.
Anyone's watching has seen cattails go back and forth. So that's part of my for joyous animals. But I've recently moved and just planted a new indoor herb garden for myself. And it just started sprouting and popping up.
Oh,
So I am planning in the off season. I am totally enjoying that right now.
This is always moving queer joy.
Caught on like queer joy versus just like joy.
Oh,
I don't know.
It's queer joy because you're queer. So
Yeah, I guess right now in this moment, I'm feeling queer joy just for feeling like so much gratitude for this sharing space, and just being able to listen to you, Yara, listen to you talk about us. It's just like, I feel emotional about it, but just like,
Oh, God, that's what super like you. Yeah.
but I just shown below all the context of everything, and just like love you so much.
Oh God. On my way. Sorry guys. I have something to do. I will go. I will leave this meeting. I need to go there. Me too, my love. Me too. For me, I need to say that the joy is to be here and share this physical space with Shannon. It's been just life changing. As I was saying, I was married to my career, and I was unable to think about something like this possible. Shannon is just like everything that I didn't know that I was needing in my life, put it together. So it's just opening doors. And I was like, oh my God, I did not know I need that in my life. So it was like, it's so much growing for me. So definitely being here and sharing my life with her.
That's so lovely. And I hate to be the one to be the last one to go, because I just want to end on that. But I will say that my queer joy, really honestly, I swear, is like getting to listen to, because I am going through lots of grief and a loss of a relationship. And so to get to hear the two of you talk and the beauty, and that's part of why we do this podcast, is to be like, yay, joy. And these are the things that are going on positive, because we hear so much negative. And so my queer joy right now is just listening to the two of you. I swear.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
It's lovely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And listeners, thanks for listening. Please, contact us with any feedback, and hopefully we get to hear more soon. And I want to hang out with y'all again. So we're
Absolutely. That's it. Absolutely.
all right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.